Hey guys!
Magnus Robert here, bringing you another video. Today we're going to be doing my Act 3 and 4 review for the Simpsons Tapped Out Treehouse of Horror 30. That's it. Or XXX. So yeah, obviously if you haven't seen it, I did an Act 1 and 2 review. Today I'm going to be doing my Act 3 and 4 review, and then either tomorrow or probably actually on Monday anyway. Monday night I'll do a content list going through all the stuff that we got in this update and kind of give my overall thoughts on each item and the update as a whole. So yeah, today we're just going to be reviewing Act 3 and 4 though. So we'll start with, of course, Act 3. We'll talk about, all the different items we got, the quest line, and we'll talk about the premium items. And then I'll give my overall opinion of Act 3. Then we'll go into Act 4, and I'll do the same and compare both of them and kind of say which one's my favourite out of those two, and then which one's my favourite act out of all four we got in this update. So, Act 3. So, Act 3 started with Seven Sisters, which is a building, I believe. Let me just double check if it's a decoration or a building. But overall, I found the Seven Sisters really awesome. I think it's actually a really cool building. It is a building. So, yeah, I mean, I don't dislike it. I think it's a great way to start the act off with a really solid building, so no complaints there. The next item was the pumpkin house if you didn't own it already, or you get 12 donuts. I dislike this being, and I know that the pumpkin house was involved in the quest line, but my big issue with the pumpkin house being here as a thing is I feel like everyone has this by now. It's not exactly a very expensive building, and I'm fairly certain there was a mystery box where you could have got it, where most people got it. So I don't know, I feel like most people had this by now. It's only like really new players who don't have it. So I'm a little disappointed with this being, and of course there is two previously owned things obviously in both acts, and I've complained about that enough, so I'm not going to bother wasting my breath. Anyway, the third prize was the Free Bears house, which I actually think is a really solid building. I really like the look of this. I think it's pretty awesome. So again, points to that. The next is the gingerbread house with Susanna the Witch. If you don't own that though, you get 12 donuts. And again, similar thing. I'm not a massive fan of this, as you probably know. And then the final item is the underground piano with Martin of the Opera. Both, I feel like the underground piano's a meh decoration. It's nothing amazing. And Martin of the Opera, I think, wasn't too great of a character. In terms of the quest line, I'm honestly in the same kind of opinion as the last one. I just think it feels like they're just trying their best to tie all this shit together, and to me, it doesn't seem. It seems a little loose. It does seem very loose to me. So, yeah, I mean, not gonna praise the questline too much. I mean, I've not really got any strong opinions on it. Really, it is just kind of meh. But anyway, that is Act 3 as a whole. So yeah, overall, I think probably the best decoration was the Seven Sisters. Or the best prize was the Seven Sisters, followed by the Free Bears house, which was pretty cool. So yeah, that's it for Act 3. Almost forgot the premium item of this act. Oops-a-daisies. So the premium item of this act was, of course, let me just scroll up, I've almost forgot, the Bridge Troll Mo. That just proves what a forgettable character he was. I didn't even remember him, even though it was last week. Yeah, so Bridge Troll Mo, very forgettable. Not a very great premium item. The building he comes with, which is the kind of the bridge. I don't even know what even was it. It was like a forest, wasn't it? The deep dark woods. That was it. Was something that we've seen similar thing. It's just a natural landscape, so sort of, but so it wasn't great. Yeah, and I didn't think Bridge Troll Mo is that great either. So overall, Bridge Troll Mo is pretty poor in my opinion. I'm not going to include, when I'm like ranking the acts, I'm not going to include the premium things, but they're worth mentioning at least. Act 4. So Act 4, which was called A Mother Scorned, by the way. Act 3 was called Once Bitten, Twice Die. But A Mother Scorn, which was Act 4, the final act of this update, we got a few things. So it started off with the Satan's Path, which I think is a pretty lame decoration. There's nothing too special about it, and you can barely see it. I do think this was kind of a poor way to start the act. So I'm going to give points down for that. This is followed by the portal to Rigel 7, but if you do own that, you get 12 donuts. Obviously not an amazing decoration / I think it's a decoration that earns money, so I'm not sure if it is a building, but overall not a massive fan. The third prize was Rigel 7, and I was skeptical of this. I hate the buildings that are in a bubble, like Atlantis and the the Maple Store's okay, but like Atlantis I'm not a big fan of just because it's in a bubble. However, I will say I quite like Rigel 7. I was quite pleasantly surprised. I think it's a decent size. Again, it could be a tiny bit bigger, but overall, I really liked it. I thought it was a really, really awesome building, and I just think it looks really pretty in the town. I do think it's a little awkward to place correct, and it does look a little like, it sticks out like a sore thumb a little bit, but regardless, I think it is a really cool building. And I really enjoy the look of it, so I'm actually not going to complain about it. I'm going to give it a thumbs up in total. The next prize is the Major with J. Rigelian Christ, but if you own him, you get 12 donuts. I'm really not happy with this, and the main reason I'll say that I'm not happy with this being a prize is because this was a major part of a previous Christmas update, and I'm pretty sure he was free. I'll have to double check. I think I'm going to double check that now. Alright, I was mistaken. He was a premium character, but almost regardless, he was like a big aspect of that update, so it kind of feels cheap to throw him in as a prize in this one. So I'm gonna stay neutral. If he was free, this would have been a big negative, but I guess I was wrong. I don't know why I thought he was free. Anyway, the final prize in this act was Lucy for Satan. So obviously this is the kind of Rigelian version of Satan. We've obviously got the Rigelian version of Jesus, so why not have the Rigelian version of Satan? Yeah, I liked her. I think it's a her. Yeah, overall it was okay. She was a cool character. Yeah, I mean, looks really cool. I think she could have been a bit bigger. I found her size a bit odd. I did mention this in my premium gameplay for Kamala, which didn't record. The audio didn't record, but yeah, I did actually mention that, but obviously you didn't hear that. But yeah, I said that I just think she's really oddly small, and same with Kamala. And I feel like a good comparison would be to watch the episode and see how bigger they are compared to Kang and Kodos, because if they're the same size, then they should be the same size as Kang and Kodos are in the game, but I haven't cross-referenced that yet, so I'm not gonna give negative points to yet, but I don't know, I'm a bit iffy on that. Moving on, the Kamala was obviously the premium item for Act 4, so she came with the Rigelian birth transmitter thingy-majingy thing, pod transmitter, infant pod transmitter. Yeah, I think Kamala is definitely way better of a character than Bridge Troll Mo, that is. I think, overall, I feel like I prefer her to Lucy from Satan in a way, because she played a more significant part in her episode. I don't even know what Lucy from Satan is from, I don't even remember the episode that she's from. But I feel like, well, anyway, I remember Kamala quite vividly, so I figured, yeah, I feel like Kamala is probably the better character out of this act. I did like the Rigelian aspect. I think the Rigelian aspect was definitely a better theme. But yeah, that's her overall. So that's both Act 3 and 4, so let's go and talk and compare and see which one I prefer. So overall, I personally, this is a difficult one, because with Act 3, there's definitely some highlights. Like, I really like the Seven Sisters and the Three Bears house. I think those two are two solid buildings. With Act 4, I think Rigel 7 and Lucy from Satan are two very solid prizes. The thing that lets it down is the Satan's Path, and the thing that lets it down in Act 3 is the underground piano with Martin of the Opera. So both have a kind of a letdown decoration or a letdown prize. So it's very difficult. But the thing with Act 3 is I'm tempted to give it to Act 3 just because obviously we get two things in the final prize, but I'm not. I'm going to give it to Act 4. I'm going to say that Act 4 is the best act out of the two. Mainly because I think the theme is tight in this. At least we've got a solid theme, and that is Rigel 7. Rigel 7 is throughout this entire questline. And I feel like the questline is the best in Act 4 because it makes the whole sense, and it feels like it's been leading to this. And the rest kind of feels like almost padding to get to this almost finale in Act 4. So I think overall Act 4 is the best out of the two, and I'm going to go as far as to say Act 4 is probably the best out of all of them. Controversial to say, I know, but yeah, I really enjoyed Act 4. I think it was definitely a nice ending to the event, and overall I really enjoyed it. So maybe it's controversial, maybe some people preferred some other acts, but I don't know, I really liked Act 4, even though the first prize wasn't too great, and yeah. So that's it for the event in terms of the act reviews. Tell me your thoughts on Act 3 and 4, and which act did you prefer the most. And I shall see you next video, where I think next video might be the content list. Anyway, thanks for watching, goodbye.